you know, I mentioned earlier that I wanted to be an actor, but then I didn't have the courage to continue because they had Sidney Poitier out there and they didn't have any more roles for me. So I took a different route. And I went to Europe. First time I went to Europe, I visited my brother in Paris. But on the way there, I stopped off in London and I went up to, they had the tour. And after the tour, I went off over to number 10 Downing Street, knocked on the door. You can't even get down the street now, but I knocked on the door. But I was surprised they didn't come to the door to answer me. I mean, how rude could they be? But anyway, that started my travels. And since then, I've seen the world. Now, I don't want you to think that I'm bragging when I'm telling you about the places that I've been, because I've seen some of the most iconic places in the world. Well, I've sat on that bench in front of Taj Mahal. I've traveled to India, many cities, Delhi, Bombay. I guess Bombay is now Mumbai, but Agra with Taj Mahal. And I had my first nightmare in life in Calcutta. But since then, I've traveled to Iran. I've gone to China. I've walked the Great Wall of China. I've seen Shanghai. I've seen the clay soldiers in Xi'an. I've visited other cities in China. Taiwan, I visited. I've rode bicycles around in Cambodia, seeing the different Wats, Angkor Wat, Angkor Thom, and so forth. I've traveled the length of South Vietnam from the north down to the bowels of Kamau in South Korea. I've been into most of Southeast Asia and Egypt. I was in Egypt. I've gone down the Nile to other places in Egypt, across the Nile, over across Sinai, into Israel. And with my mother at one time, I traveled, took a week, and we traveled Israel, and we hit most of the biblical spots in Egypt, in Israel. I've floated in the Dead Sea, and I visited the castle in Masada. And after I saw what happened in Masada, where the people jumped over and committed suicide, I was in Guyana, and that was the only time Jim Jones had these people drink lemonade. And I thought, right then, I thought Masada. But I was assigned once to Jordan, so I've ridden horseback into Petra. I've rode camels. My mother and we rode camels in Wadi Rum. That's where Pete O'Toole made that movie. The movie on the desert, Wadi Rum, and I've gone all the way down to Aqaba. That was that part of the world. And to South America, I've visited every country in South America, from French Guiana on over to Suriname, Guyana, Venezuela. I've crossed over the mountains from Chile into Argentina. I've seen Brazil. I did a tour once of Brazil, 2.5 weeks. And I started in Recife. Going south, I hit every major city on that coast, going from Recife down to Rio. And I've had a few trips into Rio, even went to Mardi Gras once in Rio. And the beautiful things of traveling through Brazil. I've gone as far down from the south of Guyana, where they had one of the most beautiful falls, waterfalls that you don't hear much of, Kaitua Falls. The only way you get to it, you can take a plane there, or if you travel overland, it takes about 4 or 5 days to get up to the mountaintop to see Kaitua. But I went with the group from the embassy, and we flew up to Kaitua Falls, and it's one of the most amazing falls. It's not the most biggest fall, I guess, in the world. The one that's is Kaitua, which is right on the border of Argentina, Brazil, and Paraguay. And I worked in Paraguay for 2 years, so every time friends came over, I always took them down to see the waterfalls in Kaitua. Beautiful waterfalls. They spread, I don't know, it must be a kilometer or so. There's nothing but falls. And in places like Ecuador, where you go and stand at one spot where they say you're right in the middle of the world, where north, south, east, west come into a join. That's in Ecuador, right outside, not far from Quito. I did that one. Peru, I went to Machu Picchu. I didn't walk the distance to Machu Picchu. I took the train, went and had to walk up the mountain. But lots of people, young people, like to take that Machu Picchu trail. And it takes a couple of days, 3 or 4 days, I guess. But the train was better for me. I just took the train to get to the bottom of the mountain, and I walked up Machu Picchu. Argentina, I've traveled overland from Argentina. And I was trying to think of the Amazon. Yeah, the Amazon. I've traveled down the Amazon. I've stayed at native villages where I, stayed a couple of nights, and going down the Amazon to Manaus, right outside of Manaus, where the black Amazon and the white Amazon meet, the two rivers meet there. There's another site like that over in the Nile, but I haven't seen that part. But they tell me that water meet there, black and white water, and it's amazing how right there's black water and there's white water. They don't mix. They're right there. But there was one place I wanted to go to in India that I haven't been. It's if I ever get back there, I'm going. It's the highest saltwater lake in the world. It's in India. I want to go and see it, but I haven't been. Traveling through South America, I've always traveled mostly by automobile. Wherever I traveled, it was automobile. Like when I was in Jordan, I drove over to Israel several times, 5 or 6 times. And I've driven up into Syria. There was one time I was driving into Syria, and I wanted to go see, I was going to go up to Aleppo. And I was on the highway, and there was a soldier that was hitchhiking, a Syrian. And I stopped, and I picked him up. And we were talking, and I said, there's a place out here that I want to go see. It's called Chac du Valais. Chevrolet. He said, "Oh, that's in my village." I said, "Yeah?" He said, "Oh, yes, yes. You just take me here. I'll show you." And he said, "There's a shock now." He said, "But why don't you go to my house? You park your car and we walk over there." I said, "Okay." I parked the car and walked over to the shop. He showed me places in there that I never would have seen because it was right in his village and he had gone all through the place. It was an old French castle, but it's, I wonder if it's still standing there after they've had this Syrian mess. But anyway, after I'd seen it, he said, "Oh, now you must have dinner with my wife. She's cooked dinner for us." I said, "Well, I got to get on the highway because I don't want to be driving at night." He said, "Oh no, you're not going to leave at night. You're going to stay with me." I said, "Well, do they have a hotel in town?" He said, "No, there's no hotel here. You have to stay at my house." I said, "Okay, all right." He had dinner. It was a beautiful dinner she made, and got ready to go to bed. He and his wife got out of their bed, put clean linen on their bed, and they slept out on the porch. I said, "Wait a minute, let me sleep on the porch." They said, No. You're our guest. If our neighbors knew you, said, if we put you on the porch and not out of the house, we couldn't live here." I said, "Oh my goodness." I mean, but that was the kind generosity of the Arab. And that was beautiful. Yeah. I retired from Foreign Service. I was in my last tour was Asuncion, Paraguay. And I retired and went down to Cape Town, South Africa, where I stayed for about 12 years. And one of the best vacations I took around that area, we went over to Namibia. And Namibia was many different things that you could enjoy. One of the, what did it have? I mean, you could go on safari. You could, we skydived, the kids and I. I got the nerve to skydive. Now I would do it again because I really enjoyed it. They had some of the highest dunes in the world. Got a meteor place where a meteor fell. Namibia is a very interesting country that you never hear anything about. But that was one of the places that I enjoyed. And one other place that I really enjoyed that people don't think anything about was Guyana. It was poor. Didn't have much on the shelves, to go shop, but the people were so good, so kind, so inviting. I was there for the first week I was there. I went to a party, house party, met all kind of people. Great, fantastic. But that's been my travel. I've visited 110 countries in my life, and that's when I say that I have seen the world. And I'm proud and I'm happy that I've done that travel. And there are still 2 or 3 other places that I would like to go to. They were in some of the countries that I have visited, but they were just different places that were there. Some of the places in India that I would love to see, and some more of the places in Iran. I went to Isfahan in Iran, but there were so many other places in Iran that I would love to go see. But I've enjoyed my life, and not bragging, but I think I have had a fantastic life.